Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. Tonight's about a sad story, folks. It's a sad story that we as progressives are going to be dealing with for a long, long time. This thing called call-out culture. This thing call-out culture has really, really impacted our movement in a way that I'm just almost ashamed of. You know, we talk about how the Democrats, they can't win without the progressives. Well, the progressives can't win without the progressives. And there's far too many progressives that just think that they can go out there and shit on each other, call each other out. So, you know, I'm going to keep this in a perspective that I can talk very, very fluently in. I'll keep it away from areas that aren't my specialty. But I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I had a lot of issues with alcohol. I mean, I'm telling you folks, when I drank, I had all kinds of problems. And it took a long time for me to get sober and get away from booze. And, you know, I sat there and listened to people at work ragging on people who were drunks, ragging on people who were alcoholics. And they would say all kinds of nonsense about alcoholics, and they had all kinds of opinions on alcoholics. And I'd ask them, I'd say, "Are you an alcoholic?" And they'd say, "Well, no, I'm not an alcoholic." I was like, "Yet you have an opinion about alcoholics. You have an opinion about alcoholics. You think you can define someone with a drinking problem, and you think that you can kind of box them in, and you can call them names, and you can say horrible things about them." And, you know, they didn't really care. It didn't really matter to them. They were so self-righteous in their mouthing off, and their verbalizing their mouthpiece about alcoholics, that they didn't care. They didn't care about the experience of alcoholics. They didn't care about understanding the needs of alcoholics. They just had things to say, right? Well, over the course of my life, I have witnessed people tell me to shut up. I don't have a right to speak because I am a certain race or a certain skin color. I've heard people say that I don't have a right to speak because I happen to be a guy who likes girls. Okay? I've heard people that have told me I don't have a right to speak about a host of things. And I think to myself, this movement cannot survive. This movement cannot survive with so many special snowflakes shitting on each other. You know, we all have a shared human existence. And then we have our own individual paths. And then we have spheres of influence, spheres of issues. Like I said, I'm an alcoholic. I didn't ask to be an alcoholic. I was born an alcoholic. I didn't ask to be born with a stigma associated with alcoholism. It just so happens to be what society puts on alcoholics. Now, if I run around calling people alcoholic bashers, do you think I'm going to score any points? Do you think I'm going to win any of the alcoholic bashers over by sitting there raising this? No. And if a friend of mine misspeaks about alcoholism, I need to go have a one-on-one contact with them. And I need to tell them, hey, what you said hurt my feelings. And maybe it didn't hurt my feelings, but maybe you just don't understand. Can I please take a moment of your time and explain where you're wrong about categorizing us alcoholics in that way? Or maybe you don't understand the experience of an alcoholic, but yet you speak as though you do. So let me share with you where you're wrong, or where my experience differs from the way that you categorized it. Now, I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about here, but there's a lot of instances. There's a lot of people that are not African American, and have never had an African American experience. But in their heart of hearts, they think they're trying to experience, they're trying to be an ally, they're trying to be whatever, and they stumble, they bumble, they make a mistake, they err, okay? And then what happens? The call-out culture. They're all sitting there, everybody pouncing at once, feasting on the mistake, feasting like it's freaking Christmas supper or friggin' Easter dinner or some other feast. And it's like self-perpetuating, crushing the soul of one individual, the dog pile. The smearing of the person, the destroying of their integrity, the destroying of their character. And let me tell you something, as an alcoholic, I had to go to court and justify my entire existence during a divorce proceeding years ago. My entire existence was on display for the world to read about. Everything about my life. I had to justify my every breath. My every breath. And as I sat in there and I listened and I realized that the court was totally about patriarchy and totally 1,000% going to give my ex-wife whatever it was with the children. And my alcoholism was the get out of jail free card. It was the quick and easy, boom. So when you think about how people can leverage destroying another human being, absolutely destroying them with call-out culture and cyberbullying and this whole self-righteous, they said something against my beliefs, and therefore I'm going to destroy them on social media. You know anybody like that? Do you know people that do that? Do you know people that do that? It's pretty fucking destructive, isn't it? You put a label on somebody that they can't shake. You put a label on somebody that they can't shake. And if they fight back, what happens? They're bad. They don't understand. See, there they go, denying it again. And if they stay quiet, they don't care. But ultimately, the cyberbullies, the call-out cultures, everything else can destroy that person with impunity. With impunity. So if you think about this for a minute, in our own little fucking movement, this little teeny box we call progressives, this little world that we call progressives, if we constantly are tearing each other down, telling this person to shut up and mind their manners, telling that person that they're out of line, telling this person to go away, we don't need you to talk, you shut up and listen, all this nonsense. If that's the approach that we're going to take, you can guarantee that 1% at the voting booth will never exceed 1%. You can guarantee that we will fail in perpetuity. You can guarantee that we will not have a New Deal. You can guarantee that we will not have Medicare for all. You can guarantee there will be no federal job guarantee to absolutely stop involuntary unemployment. You can guarantee that there will be no student debt forgiveness, and there will be no green energy, and there will be no planet, because people decided they were going to go ahead and do call-out culture. They were going to do call-out culture. And this shit's got to stop. I'm sorry, folks. I am not down with it. Not an iota. Not even a skosh. It's one thing when you're dealing with elected officials. It's another thing when you're dealing with people that you don't know that are trying to run roughshod over you. But when you're sitting there dealing in a movement and somebody doesn't know your experience and they speak out of learn, you know what you do? You go ahead and you private message them. You pick up the phone. You do something. You call them and you talk to them like a human being. And you help them get over themselves because they are an ally. And we need all of our allies, even the imperfect ones. Even the ones that aren't walking on water, that didn't say things exactly the way you want them said, and didn't feel the same way you wanted them to feel. We need every last one of them. Our opponent, our enemy, the real enemy, is brutally organized. They are destructively focused, and they are absolutely ready to take us down. And every time one of these call-out groups come out, every time they try and shame someone, they go out there and try and beat them down and shame them and humiliate them. Every single time they destroy this movement, and they are a fucking murderer. They have literally taken the steam out of a movement by doing that. Oh, sure, they may elevate a few people of like minds, but they are literally pushing people by the thousands away. And you will never see any kind of progress in that environment, ever, 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 never. Folks, we got here by accident through Bernie Sanders. Whether you like that or not, true fact, I guarantee it. And because people don't like Bernie, it's okay. But the movement still exists if we take care of it, if we don't crush it. And it's self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the junk that is doing this to us. Self-inflicted wounds because of arrogance and ego. Arrogance and ego. And I'm telling you what, I saw some of the nastiest, meanest comments here recently. I mean to tell you, I'm talking about people that were so fucking nasty. But I have to work with these people because our movement is more important. Our movement is more important. My children need this movement I need this movement. Folks, my body is falling apart. I've got the worst arthritis you can imagine. I'm telling you what, I take shots to fucking survive. I need this movement. Folks, I need this movement. I need all of you. We need all of each other. We cannot keep balkanizing each other and carving off little chunks. It's not like that. If you want to do that in your private time, knock yourself out. But this movement needs unity. And I'm not talking about white supremacist unity. I'm not talking about alcoholic unity. I'm talking about progressive unity, human unity. Because our enemy is absolutely poised and ready for us to act like special snowflakes and fair-haired children and frickin' running off and doing our own little thing. I'm telling you, if you care about your kids, and if you care about ending racism, and if you care about ending suffering from lack of health care, and if you care about ending wars for oil, as you say, because we can go to green energy, you care about all this stuff, you must focus and you must stop cutting the legs out from under people who maybe say things in a way that were incorrect or had a different understanding. They didn't know. Be better than that. Teach them. And if you can't be decent enough to teach them, if you're going to run around yelling about them and call out culture, and you're going to destroy people in this movement who are fighting day in and day out, if you think your job is to be the call out doctor, you're wrong. I won't follow people that do that. I have no interest in people that do that. And it's only because of the needs of my children that I will work with people like that. But folks, we need everybody. I mean, every last person. Do you realize that there are going to be good people and there are going to be bad people, even in the progressive movement? This is no joke. There has to be. In order for us to win, we're going to even need some douchebags and some jerks. We're going to need some people that are maybe not as enlightened as we'd like them to be. Maybe they won't be nearly as enlightened as we'd like them to be. But we're going to need them. We're going to need every last one of them. And you know what? I'm sorry that that's the case, because God bless it, it'd be so much easier to only run with our type, our tribe, our skin color, our gender, or our alcoholic, variety, whatever it is, our little specialism. It would be much easier in this life just to stay monolithic and not focus on anything else. But we can't win anything that way. And if you think that works that way, if you think we're going to win something by destroying our movement one little I'm upset at a time moment, we're done. We're absolutely done. We're done. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go ahead and drop off here. I think I've made my point. Call out culture and all this divisiveness is going to destroy any chance of fixing police brutality. It's going to destroy any chance of eradicating the things that are affecting minorities, the very, very real issues that are affecting minorities. All of those issues are going to be destroyed. The poor in Flint, Michigan will be destroyed as well. They will not have their pipes fixed as long as call-out culture continues, because we won't have enough strength to overcome them. If you don't understand this, if you feel your job is to call people horrible names and chase after them and spam walls and go around telling people things about people, making nasty posts so everybody can jump up and down, going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, look at all the hearts and all the likes I got for bashing someone over the head who's been fighting day in, day out for years. If that's what you think being a progressive is, or even being a human being, then you're wrong. We need each other, and we need to grow some thick skin so we, as a unit, can overcome all the things. Folks, as an alcoholic, when my father passed away in September, I was devastated. Devastated. And I didn't act as I normally would. Every day was crushing to me. And you think people gave me any slack for that? Let me tell you something. Real progressives almost broke up as a direct result of the way my life went when my father passed away. That's no joke. People have only so much, it's like they can have all kinds of tolerance for people when it's not a direct impact. But the minute somebody really is suffering, the minute someone is going through something serious, there they are to put their fucking foot right on your neck and shove your face in a pile of mud and kill you. That is not progressive culture. That is not something I'm willing to fight for. I'm willing to fight against it tooth and nail. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Let's stay together, folks. Have a good night.